Hi everyone, Emma here, and today I'm going to be watching part 15 of Twin Peaks called There's Some Fear in Letting Go. Oh, Nadine. She's like on an epic journey.
I'm fine now.
Yeah.
You asked about the shovel? Just thinking of you two being happy.
Oh, that's some lovely acting there. Not creepy at all. Oh, it's just like Laura's dream. You can feel my heart right now. I know, it's just beating so fast.
Thank God.
And he turned David Bowie into
Someone
a
else who called.
teapot.
I recognize you back at the farm. Your
Ooh,
FBI.
Richard.
Your fancy FBI suit. Don't come any closer. And your name's Cooper.
Ooh, he gave him a look there. Gave him a strange look. Did he give him like, you're my son kind
Don't
of
ever
look?
threaten me.
Oh, so so he has the itch, the strange rash. He's definitely scratching like a dog with fleas. Do you think he's done something to Becky? Killed her or something? He did it. He killed himself. Or else he killed the guy with the dog. Or the dog. Oh, it's Mark Frost. Great cameo. Oh! Ugh. Nice. Maybe the green glove has served its purpose by getting James and Freddie into the jail.
When you get me this little picture paint.
These two are great, aren't they? Something's happening. I think he's remembering. Oh my god, don't stick that fork in. I guess he thinks he has to go back in. Maybe he does. Oh, that's sad.
Passed away tonight.
Oh.
Love ladies. And right before my eyes.
It's like she's talking her way out of
I
going.
never really saw it
So
before.
strange.
It's absolutely true. Charlie, it's you.
What's going on?
How can you be like this? I hate you.
Oh my goodness. The poor girl. Oh, look at her. This is truly disturbing. Oh my word. So I just finished the episode. Oh, I don't know what to think about that episode. It was another odd one. Oh god, that beginning was just so heart-wrenching. That was some great acting by Everett McGill, I thought, as Big Ed. Finally being told that he was free by Nadine, and that moment that he really thought, wow, I really am free and I can go and get Norma finally. It was just a moment that was so powerful, I thought. And also when he was in the diner and he had his eyes closed after he was rebuffed by Norma, and he was just like, give me a cyanide tablet. Oh my goodness, my heart was just tearing in two at that point. I kind of had a feeling that Norma was going to approach him at some point, but that moment of waiting for her to finish with this guy about the franchises and for her to approach him, that was just so beautiful, I thought. I kind of wonder if Nadine has ever said anything like this before, whether this is just a cycle that they go through, because it seems a little similar to how they were back in the original series when Norma and Ed were sort of together and then they had to be apart and then they were back together and apart. Obviously Nadine is not okay now. She says, you know, I'm okay now, I'm perfectly okay. But clearly she's not okay. She is carrying a gold shovel and doing long treks around the town, trying to come to some kind of new mindset and freedom from anything that might have held her back in the past, I think, and freedom to be who she is, but I still think that she is a strange lady, a lady who probably will need some guidance for the rest of her life, either from Dr. Jacoby if that's where she's going now, or back from Ed if the Norma storyline, the Norma romance breaks down. But that did seem pretty final with Norma and Ed saying that they wanted to be married. The stuff with the convenience store was pretty freaky. I thought that when Evil Coop was going to look for Jeffries that we may be getting David Bowie, and I really was like, my heart was just nearly exploding out of my chest thinking, is this scene going to lead to David Bowie? Are we going to get a cameo here? And then of course that long drawn out process to get to where Philip Jeffries is and to find out that he is some kind of weird machine that resembles a teapot. It also reminded me a little bit of The Wizard of Oz with the smoke coming out and the voice emanating from that smoke. And obviously it was a voice actor who was playing that part, the same guy who overdubbed the Philip Jeffries scene in the last episode. What I'm thinking is that that whole sequence was almost teasing an audience and saying something about life and death as well, because of the fact that I think a lot of us were maybe thinking, could David Bowie be alive again in film? Could he have his moment here? And then he is in a different form when we finally meet Philip Jeffries again. And this, I think, links in with what the Log Lady says and Hawk says later on about changing form, not dying, just changing form. And I kind of think that this goes back to the real life situation of David Bowie being deceased and us getting this form of him as Philip Jeffries in Twin Peaks. It is kind of a statement about loss and memory and form, and the idea that someone can still exist even though they are no longer in the form that you remember them being in. I think that's a powerful message from this scene. And I also wonder if Philip Jeffries, the character, has supposed to have died and transformed into this machine thing. Why would he have transformed into this, and why would he be existing in this convenience store area unless he was trapped? He seems to have taken a turn to the dark side, but again he isn't exactly friendly with Evil Coop either. The questions about who is Judy. Now, I kind of formulated a theory about who was Judy, and I think some other fans have formulated it as well. When Philip Jeffries was talking about Judy in this episode, my theory kind of went out the window a little bit, and it looks like Evil Coop may be online, may be on course to meet with Judy. That moment when Richard confronted Evil Coop outside of the convenience store was a little strange, because they mentioned Audrey, and Evil Coop kind of gave Richard a second look, I think, when he said Audrey. He looked at him up and down almost as if he was evaluating him, and I think that gives plausibility to the idea that Evil Coop may be Richard's father. Stephen and Kirsten in the woods was a strange scene, because what he was saying didn't really make a lot of sense. I think it sounded like he'd done something to Becky, or he was just rebounding from knowing that Becky was hurt because she'd found out that he had been sleeping with Kirsten. In any case, he seemed really distressed and suicidal, and Kirsten was trying to stop him, it seemed like. When Mark Frost appeared walking that little dog, I kind of feared for both of them. I thought that Stephen might just shoot them, but it looked like Stephen shot himself. That may be sort of a blessing for Becky to have been released from that relationship, because it was so toxic to both of them, really. So we saw Freddie and James in the Roadhouse, and I think we got the first hints about what happened to James and the effect on his cognitive abilities, because he started to stutter when he was affronted by this guy after he talked to Renee, and he didn't seem like he was fully able to converse with this guy, and he was stuttering a little bit and couldn't get his words out. I don't know if the green glove has served its purpose fully, because Freddie went into action, saved James, and then they both ended up in the jail cell, and they were both stuck there with NATO So it's almost as if they've been brought together by fate. It was kind of strange, I think, to see James and Bobby in a scene with not much interaction between the two, if any at all. That scene just gave me the feeling that James is somehow connected to Nado, and so is Freddy with his glove, and them ending up in the jail is more meaningful than it just being a random fight over a woman. Talking about the roadhouse, I'm going to go to the end scene because that was so disturbing. It was like a comment on society as a whole, I think. The fact that this poor girl was treated like that by these big lugs who just manhandled this poor girl and threw her onto the floor, basically. And she just sat there like she was a piece of rubbish or something. And then she crawled over the floor like she had lost all her motor skills, and the way she screamed at the end was just a scream of despair, a complete scream of despair. And like it seemed to be a comment on everything bad that's ever happened in this series so far. It was almost like a moment where this innocent young girl, and clearly she was like bookish, she was very shy and innocent, and I think that the fact that she was brought to her knees like this and screaming, I think that was a comment on all of the darkness and the dark forces that are converging in Twin Peaks. Another weird Audrey scene as well. She did seem to be talking Charlie out of leaving, which is very odd, which made me think that perhaps subconsciously she doesn't really want to leave. She wants to stay in the confines of that place wherever they are. She feels safer there and she doesn't really want to go out with Charlie. The fact that these scenes are pretty similar, all of the Audrey scenes so far have been feeling similar, almost as if Audrey's trapped and confused, but there's something not quite right, something coded behind these sentences that they are saying to one another, and we don't quite know what it is that's going on with them. Audrey's a very troubled person, and she also exploded in this moment of anger at the end of that scene and basically lost it, physically lost it. Charlie assaulted him. The theory about Audrey being in a coma is still a viable one, I think, even though Richard discussed his mother in this episode and said that she had a picture of Cooper. She still could have a picture of Cooper by her bedside if she was incapacitated in some way, and that might be all that Richard ever knew of anything about his mother, the fact that she had this love for Cooper. Chantal and Hutch, I mean, I just love their scenes together because they are so great at playing these low-life characters who just seem to have crawled out of the gutter. They are both acting those parts really well, Tim Roth and Jennifer Jason Leigh. It's very amusing to actually listen to their mindless conversations and to see what kind of meaningless lives they are living, sort of scraping the barrel when it comes to intelligence or awareness of what's going on in the world. And I was really surprised that Chantal came into the Las Vegas place and killed Mr. Todd. I didn't recognize her at first because she was done up so nicely, and that scene where she shot Mr. Todd was pretty horrific. It reminded me a little bit of the scene with Mark Pellegrino in Mulholland Drive when he shoots the lady and then has to go back and shut her up because she's making so much noise. Yeah, very dark comedic moment. So that was a very sad farewell to the Log Lady, and the way that Hawk decided to gather all the characters together and tell them. I liked how that scene was sort of half in shadow, as if the light was dimmed because Margaret had passed. I loved that the fact that they put the character name in the credits in memory of as well. So yeah, that's it really. I'll be back on Thursday, I think, to have a closer look at this episode and to go over it scene by scene. That's it. You can leave your comments below to tell me what you thought of this episode, if you liked it, if you didn't, if you have any thoughts or feelings or theories about particular scenes. Thanks for watching anyway, and that's it. Bye!